Penguin presents Father Unknown by Lesley Pearse. Read by Lucinda Dryzek. Chapter 1. Chiswick, London, 1990. Come here and hold my hand, darling. I hate to sound melodramatic, but I think I'm on the way out. Daisy was just leaving the bedroom, as she had thought her mother was sound asleep. Hearing these words, she wheeled round in shock and dismay. Lorna Buchan had cancer. She had fought it bravely for over 2 years with radiotherapy, a mastectomy, and countless alternative treatments, always believing she would get better. But 2 months ago, she had been told by her specialist that the cancer had spread throughout her body. She'd resigned herself to this and refused any further hospital treatment because she wanted to spend her last weeks at home with her husband and children. Daisy was beside her mother's bed in a trice. "I'll call the doctor," she said, her heart pounding with fear. Lorna smiled up weakly at her daughter. "No, darling, there's no point. I'm not in any pain and I feel really calm. Just sit with me." Daisy was appalled. She couldn't just sit there and watch her mother die without doing something. Yet to argue with her now seemed awful too. So with her free hand, she gently stroked her mother's head, while she considered what she should do. Lorna had lost her lovely honey-blonde hair after the radiotherapy, and the new growth was white and as soft as a baby's. Her face was gaunt because she had lost so much weight, and even her blue eyes had faded to a pale duck-egg colour. It wasn't fair, Daisy thought, that her mother should be singled out for this. She was only 50, and she'd been such a striking, robust woman, always fashionably dressed, known to everyone for her vivacious and warm personality. She was the sort of indomitable woman who could tirelessly supervise a school fete, then at the end of the day, which would have exhausted anyone else, invite all the helpers home for an impromptu party. She would still be dancing and laughing as her guests finally left, yet miraculously, by breakfast the following day, the whole house would be tidied and cleaned as if nothing had gone on there. "I must call Daddy," Daisy said after a few moments' thought. "Certainly not," Lorna said, surprisingly firmly. "He has an important meeting this afternoon, and I don't want him rushing home through the traffic in a panic." "But I must do something. Let me call the college and get the twins home." "No, not them either. They'll be home soon anyway." Daisy had given up her job a month before when her mother became too ill to be left at home alone. This was not an act of martyrdom. Daisy loathed her job, just as she had loathed practically everyone she'd ever had, and there had been dozens. Housekeeping and caring for her mother was something she liked and was good at, and she used to think that she could handle any situation or emergency, yet she knew she couldn't handle this one alone. "I've got to phone the doctor at least," she said resolutely. Lorna turned her head away in a stubborn attempt to try to dissuade her. Daisy picked up the phone by the bed regardless, and quickly phoned the surgery to tell them she needed a doctor immediately. "That wasn't necessary. I only need you here," Lorna said weakly, as Daisy put the phone down. "Besides, there's something I want to talk to you about." "I will get a real career," Daisy said quickly, assuming that this was what was on her mother's mind. She was 25 and she knew her parents despaired because she was feckless and lacking in ambition. "I thought I might join the police force." Lorna smiled. "You'd be hopeless at that. You don't like taking orders, and you're so soft you'd be bringing all the villains home for tea." "So is it Joel then?" Daisy asked. Joel was her policeman boyfriend of a year's standing, the longest she'd ever gone out with any man. Her parents approved of him, and she thought perhaps her mother was going to urge her to marry him. "No, not Joel either. You're perfectly well able to make your own mind up about him. I wanted to talk about your real mother." Daisy looked at her mother in horror. "I don't want to talk about her now," she said. "Well, I do," Lorna said. "What's more, I want you to find her when I've gone. I think it will help you." Her words made tears well up in Daisy's eyes. "Nothing and nobody will ever replace you," she said passionately. "You are my real mother. I don't want anyone else." She had known she was adopted since she was a tiny child. Lorna and John had told her that she was extra special because they had chosen
Sample complete. Ready to continue?